Friends, welcome back to the Autry Benton Show. If you missed yesterday's interview, make sure you tune in. We're with Cecil Patrick, a Myrtle Beach legend, a strong businessman, and just a good person overall. Make sure you catch that interview if you missed it. We're going to pick the conversation back up where. Mr. Cecil, thank you for joining us today.
Glad to be here, man.
Wow, I've already learned a lot about you, and I thought I knew a lot, but so much. We were getting ready, you were talking about your family and giving and your faith, and I appreciate you sharing that. But you were getting ready to share that you were going into the insurance business.
Yep.
Tell me about that.
Well, when I got out of I owned 3 liquor stores, 3 convenience stores, and service station, and a nightclub, and that just didn't work. I went 2 months and didn't see my kids awake. I said, that's not what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. And so I started looking, and there's a guy that had a State Farm agency here named Hazel Hatchell. Mm-hmm. He started with State Farm in 1957, had the biggest agency in the state. So I went and talked with Hazel. He said, go into the insurance business. I said, well, who? He said, Liberty Life. Said, they got the best training program out there. And get training, said, then come back and go to work with me. Mm-hmm. So I applied, got the job, and the first day I went to work, my boss says, we start to work early. He said, can you be in Donzo's restaurant in Conway early Monday morning? Yeah. I said, yes, sir, I sure can. So at 5:30 Monday morning, I walked in Donzo's restaurant with a suit and tie on. Wow. And Don said, what are you doing in here with a suit and tie on? I said, I'm working with Liberty Life Insurance Company. He said, they don't come in here at 9 o'clock. Yeah. You know, so I sit there at 9, and I got home that night at 10 after 11. Oh, wow. Yeah, and I told my wife, I said, I found what I've been looking for. This is it. But I've always been a person that whatever I've done, I committed to it. Mm-hmm. And what I really did, I mean, I collected premiums on the boulevard. I'd go to my house and get nickels and dimes and dollars and all that and sell insurance and all that and started out. I went in management after 9 months, and it just started going. And I became a sales manager. And they wanted to promote me after about a year. But back then they had a deal where you had to travel all over for a year. I said, I ain't leaving my family. You know, if I got to do that, I won't do it. And so I finally told one of the vice presidents, I said, you find me the sorriest office you got that you can't get nobody to go to and send me there for a year. And if I can't do something with it, I get back to you. So about 6 months later, they said, we got something for you. Wow. And I said, what is it? It says Orangeburg, South Carolina. Wow.
Let me ask you a question right there. So you kind of learned the life insurance business, and you started right here in Conway. You just do Conway and the beach? Yeah. Conway, Myrtle Beach? What was you like? It was just connecting with people? Was
just
that
connecting with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned that in the beer business. Okay. Beer business, you deal with the lowest kind of people and the highest kind of people, and you had to learn how to talk. Okay. All of them. So that taught me how to deal with different levels of people. Okay. And you know, and I learned that if you can tell them what they want to hear, right, you can do some business with them. Okay. Yeah. You got to tell them the truth. Yeah. Right. You know, and so that's what started that. Wow. You know, and you loved it. I loved it. I did. You know, when I agreed to go to Orangeburg, what'd you think when they said Orangeburg? I mean, you like, boy, they really gave me a challenge. Well, let me tell you how that happened. One Sunday, in our Sunday school, they did a thing, and this girl says, you know, there's 2 kind of energies, potential and kinetic. Yeah. You know, you can choose to be whichever one you want to be. Right. And the preacher's sermon that day was, are you doing what God wants you to do? So that night our prayer was, God, if we aren't doing what you want us to do, if you'll show us, we'll do it. So Monday night my phone rang. And 6 weeks later I'm in Orangeburg. But when I started to go to Orangeburg,
I think the Lord was reading your mail, Mr. Cecil.
Yeah. I had to stop in Conway to buy a map to find out where Orangeburg was. Yeah. You know, so I went up there and they told me, said, now you'll be there 5 years. I said, okay.
Let me ask you this. Did you tell your wife that you had told the company that you would take an opportunity?
Oh, she was in on the conversation.
So she was in on it. She was okay with it.
She was in agreement with it. And now I had a daughter that was a senior at Myrtle Beach High. Yeah. And I said,
tell me about your, you got 2 daughters, right? 2 daughters. Tell me about your daughters at this point, if you don't mind.
Well, Dana is my oldest daughter, and you know, she's a CPA with an MBA in business. And she's smart, and she's mine. I don't know where that came from because I'm not a smart person. And Becky,
yes, you are.
Becky's out of a different world. You know, she's going to have fun. She's going to make it happen. And you know, one of the things that they do, we do a thing on August the 14th called Backpack Buddies. Back to school, we fix book bags with all the supplies for each grade. Last year we gave out 1,900 backpacks.
Wow, that's great.
This year we'll probably give out 3,000.
Wow.
And those two girls put that together. And now City Services, Cookie Goins, her crowd helps us with it. So if you need something to go back to school with, come by the park on August the 14th at 5:30 to 6, and we'll help you out.
It looks like they learned from their dad how to get back to the community.
Well, it's important.
Yeah.
That's what's wrong with the world now. People don't want to give back. They just want to take.
Yeah.
And, giving is fun.
It is.
And it just is. But Dana went to Orangeburg, went to OW. That class had 600 people in it. It was 4 whites. And I told her, son, if you want to go back home, she said, no, Daddy, I'm going to learn something here. Mm-hmm. And she'll tell you today that was the worst and best year of her life. Mm-hmm. It's because she learned so much about people.
That's great.
And back then you had all the private schools, and it wasn't private because they want to be private, they want to be segregated. Mm-hmm. Of course, all that's changed now. Mm-hmm. And Becky she's just a happy-go-lucky. She's like me. She's a salesperson. She can sell Eskimo ice.
Wow.
And she handles all our sales and all.
Yeah.
Becky started with Mary Kay, and she had a chance to get the pink Cadillac and all that stuff, but they decided to move back home.
Wow.
And I said, well, if you're going to move back home, you're going to work with us. I'm not going to do all this. So, but they're doing well, have done good. I am truly blessed.
Yeah.
Far more than I ever deserved. And now I've started backing away from the businesses, and they handle it. And when I see something, well, that's the way we're gonna do it. I said, okay, just leave it alone. But they're great.
That's great.
They really are.
Isn't it interesting how you can have daughters that have different kids?
Oh, yeah. How can it be so different when you got the same parents?
Yeah.
But it happens. But now I got grandkids and great grandkids, and I see the same thing now.
Same thing. Yeah, absolutely.
I got a 4-year-old that works in the office where we collect rent, and they come in and say, pay rent? You want a receipt?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. But back on the insurance business, I went to the top of the corporate world. I was over.
So Orangeburg, though, right? You started.
I went from Orangeburg to Gaffney to Charleston.
Well, how long were you in Orangeburg?
I was in Orangeburg 14 months.
14 months.
I went to Orangeburg in June, and that office was, we had 64 offices at that time. It was 46, and I ended the year 4th in the company in 6 months. I went from 46th to 4th.
What was the magic there? Just getting to know people? Working.
Asking people to buy insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
what was that? Just would you catch them in the local breakfast place? What was your strategy?
Well, we collected. So back then you'd say, can you help me make a sale? How about open your phone book and give them the first person on the back page? Okay. Back then everybody listed friends on the phone book. Don't do it anymore.
Say that again, because I don't think some people have ever heard that before.
Back then you had a telephone book.
Okay.
And you wrote your friend's number on the back page of telephone. Had a page back there for numbers. Well, their best friend would be the one at the top. Okay. So I'd ask them, give me the first 2 names in your phone book. Wow. And I'd go say, Johnny sent me over and talked to you. Yeah. And they talked, and sometimes you'd make a sale, and sometimes you wouldn't. Wow. But see, I learned, just like in Donzel's, when you're in a restaurant, there's 3 types of people come in a restaurant. Okay. At 5 o'clock in the morning, you got workers. Okay. At 6:30, you got supervisors. Supervisors, okay. At 8:30, you got owners. Check it out. That's pretty sharp. Yeah, that's pretty sharp. And so I'd sit in Nozzle sometime and just talk to people. And all you got to do is talk to people. Yeah. Just like we started dialing telephones. I mean, you call people. And I don't want insurance, but you'd be surprised. Come see me if they want you to come see me. You sold them some insurance. Wow. But there's no. I took a course one time and it had 2 things in it. And it said there's no substitute for work. Mm-hmm. And anybody that's only going to work 40 hours a week, the best they can ever be is average. And that stuck with me. That stuck with me. Yeah. And it just... But you had learned that your whole life, though, right, Mr. Cecil? Yeah. It weren't some that, I know that it was reinforced, but you probably saw that principle your whole life. Well, George Trask taught me that. Sonny Stevens taught me that. I have never worked a 40-hour week my whole life. Yeah. And I don't do that today. Yeah. I get up every morning at 4:30 and walk 3 miles. Wow. Yeah, and I usually go to bed about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Yeah. And that works for me. And I have excellent health. I mean, the doctors tell me, why are you so healthy? I said, God's blessed me. Amen. That's why I'm healthy. Yeah. I believe that. So it's just one of those sons.
Yeah, I know we're jumping around a little bit. When you said you moved to Orangeburg, you said you had a daughter in school.
Yeah.
What does she think about that move?
Well, that's the one that went to the OW.
Okay, I'm following. I'm tracking with you now. Yeah.
She was 4 white kids.
Yes,
in that
right.
class.
I got you. Yeah.
And well, I told her, I said, you can stay here if you want to, because my whole family was here. She could stay
Right.
with 10 or 15 different
Yeah.
places if she wanted to. But she wanted to go, and it worked out great for us.
Yeah. Mr. Cecil, something's coming to my mind as you're telling your story, and I think a lot of men, I'll even say Christian men, miss this, but you made your career choices with your family in mind.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people don't do that. I think they try to make $1 and the next opportunity, but they leave the family out of it.
That's why I still got a wife.
There you go, folks. You heard it here. There's some good advice.
Yeah, but I mean, God and family.
Yeah.
I'm not a religious fanatic, but I know how good God is.
Amen.
I mean, I can attest for it. I don't even have a college education.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, and whenever they tried to promote me to vice president with Liberty Life, I went to a shrink in New York, one in Atlanta, and one in Texas, Dallas. And they sent me back to the one in Atlanta, and I said, John, what am I doing back here?
Mm-hmm.
They interviewed 2 other guys, and they got all kinds of degrees. He said, all they got is a degree, Cecil. They've never done nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He says, you've taken every course that comes ever offered. You got 2 sets of initials behind your name that you've earned, and they've done nothing. Said, this company be stupid not to give you the job. And they did.
Wow. So you done the office, went to the top of the corporate ladder. What was that life like? Would people listen to you? Were you able to teach your system to them?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like I was telling you a while ago. I probably didn't tell you, but when I retired, at my retirement, I had promoted 18 managers that were still working for the company when I retired. I had promoted 46 sales managers. But what I did, I surrounded myself with people that wanted to go somewhere.
Okay.
Most of them smarter than me. But people want to go somewhere can make a bad man look good.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that was it. And I had one came to my house about 2 months ago. I hadn't seen 46 years. Mm-hmm. He said, just want to stop by and see you. But I was in my element because I'm not scared of anything.
Okay.
In fact, that shrink told me, he said, titles and people don't threaten you at all. You don't care who they are. You can talk to anybody. And
That's
I
right.
can. Didn't make
Still
any
put our pants on the same way.
Same way.
Yeah.
One leg at a time. And, and it was good. It made me who I am today. And I retired from the insurance business when I was 55.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was it like? Was it hard? Because you already told me you're a family man. You love Myrtle Beach. Did it bother you to leave Myrtle Beach, or you just were chasing?
No, it didn't bother me because I knew I had to leave Myrtle Beach to make big money.
I understand.
And that was it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
A local poor boy can't make it in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
He's going to be average wage, maybe a little better or something. But I knew that I could make money.
Yeah.
And I'm good at it.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said that. But I knew I had to get to a place where I could.
You had to get to some plentiful fields to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I set records for income in the company.
Yeah.
They're all gone now. I set every record the company had but 2. I set. Mm-hmm. And it's all in sales and commission. Yeah. In fact, I had my boss one day. I got a new boss, and he came in the office, and he said, "You make too much money." Mm-hmm. I said, "Let me write that down." And he said, "Well, I said, I'm going to write it down." He said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Next time you say it to you, I'm going to sue you." I said, "I'm under contract just like you are. Mm-hmm. And I'm working my contract to the fullest. Mm-hmm. And you're mad because I make twice as much as you do, and you're my boss." And I said, "I don't have any problem with that if you don't." Mm-hmm. He said, "We good to go." Yeah.
Wow. You've told us a lot of business advice along the way, but if you could boil it down to one thing, somebody that's getting started in business, give them some advice that they need to do.
Somebody getting started in business?
Yeah, or just in the business world that they want to start a profession.
Well, the first thing you got to do is get right with God.
Okay.
In my opinion. Second thing you got to do is decide what you want to do.
Okay.
And look at some people that's in that business and go talk to them.
Okay.
I mean, just like I told you earlier, Hazel Hatcher led me into the insurance business. Mm-hmm. And every time I had a problem, I'd call Hazel.
Okay.
And he'd give you advice.
Right.
But business is not easy. You know, it's hard. You know, I'd work 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week. I didn't care. You know, I mean, I've come in my house at 2:30 in the morning from a sale. I had a check in my hand for $500,000. You know, where I sold some insurance. I've had interviews at 5:30 in the morning. If you got a 5:30 in the morning interview, you gonna sell something. People don't want to see you if they don't want to do business. And a lot of times you go see people, and you know, they don't buy. You know, I figured out that I could sell. When I started out, it was 1 out of 5. And I got where it was 3 out of 5. You know, but you got to challenge yourself, and you got to improve what you're doing, and you got to know what you're doing, and you got to be trustworthy. That's the most important.
Be good to your word.
Yeah, be good to your word. Don't let people doubt you or tell you you're wrong or anything.
Wow, that's good. Good deal. So you retired 55, you said, right? 55?
Right.
Came back to Myrtle Beach.
Came back to Myrtle Beach.
All right, so you got in the mobile home business, right?
Well, was already in it. In fact, we lived in Greenville 10 years. I never spent 3 weekends in a row in our home because I had this mobile home park. I had to come down here twice a month there, you know. So when I retired, we came back down here, and my sister owned half of it, and I owned half of it. My sister up and died for no good reason, you know. I was going to travel 2 weeks out of the month, as she was, and then we ended up with it and started that. Then I started buying and selling. Tell you how people can help you. Good point. A guy came in the park one day, and they were repossessing a home in the park. And I said, what if I wanted to buy that home? He said, if you got 10 minutes, I'll teach you how to do it. I said, okay. So he did. And we went and looked at the house, and I bought the house. Sold it the next day, made $7,000 on it. I said, there's something here.
That was a good lesson to learn.
Lesson to learn.
Yeah.
So I learned how to do that. You know, and I got where at one time I was buying all the Bank of America repossession, all the Vanderbilt's repossession, all that. And at one time I had 41 houses for sale.
Wow.
You know, and it was good. I mean, you know, I ended up with contracts for different parts. If a lot would come open, I'd put a house on, sell it.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, talk to me about this, Mr. Cecil. And I think the people, I think we don't really understand the backside of society, but you were providing housing for a lot of the service industry in Myrtle Beach. People workforce housing. That's the word I'm looking for. Talk to me about how important that is, whether people believe it or not.
Yeah. Well, what happened is when we started getting these houses, back then you could sell a person a redone house for like $8,000 or $10,000. And you know, and a lot of times people couldn't get financing, you know, and you know, so we'd finance them for them, you know, and so we got people that, you know, a lot of people. What's wrong with Myrtle Beach today? There's nowhere for the people to live that work here. You know, all these people moving in has priced everything out of business. You know, I'm also a Clayton manufactured home dealer. I buy from Clayton. Been one of their dealers for 20 some years. You know, houses that I was selling 5 years ago for $80,000, it's $150,000 a day. That's how much they've gone up. Well, somebody working a normal job can't pay payments on a $150,000 manufactured home on somebody else's dirt, you know. But what's wrong, and you know, the city's trying to address it, and I hope they do something, because these people got to work. You know, you got people not going to wash dishes and mop floors, but that's part of what we do. You got to have that done, you know, and so we started, the first thing was with the Air Force people come in when we started the park because they had nowhere to go. And we just developed and went right on, and it just... So
service people stationed at the Myrtle Beach Air Force Base would rent from you?
No, they'd buy the house.
Buy the house.
Rent back then.
They'd buy from you.
Buy from you, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that was a house they could afford because they were servicemen serving our country.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it worked. The way I got in the rental business in 2008, when everything shut down, I owned 41 houses I was flipping. And nobody was buying. No banks was financing.
But you had to keep it going, though.
Keep going. We started renting them.
Yeah.
So we rented more and more, and so we got to.
But I think, you know, and I know that I'm probably spending a little bit of time here, but a waitress in Myrtle Beach, she's got to have something she can afford to live in.
Yeah.
But you know what? A wealthy man likes to go in a restaurant and be served a steak, but somebody's got to serve that steak to him.
Right. Exactly.
I just think it's important in society.
Yeah, it is, and I think that's what Myrtle Beach is missing. I mean, like I talked about the chamber earlier.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have people that can go in there and pay $200 for a meal.
Yeah.
You know, not many of us eat it with Christmas.
Yeah.
Great restaurants eat it a lot of times, but I mean, you know, not a lot of people. You know, and I don't know what the balance is there, but they ought to be. And you know, and I feel for these people. You know, just like the back to school thing, a lot of those people have to choose between school supplies and food.
Yeah.
And we have people come through literally in tears.
Yeah.
We're so happy to get this.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people just don't understand it and don't want to understand it.
Yeah. Well, I think that the truth of it is we do have both, and we can have both, and we got to treat them as our neighbors.
Yeah, treat them as your
if they're wealthy as they can, or if they don't. How much money you got, or how much less of money, that don't make you less of a person. Good deal. We're running out of time, but something very interesting in your life. Tell me about reality TV and how that came to be.
Well, that came to be as a guy came and he rode through the park driving a Mercedes. Well, the only people riding through a mobile home park Mercedes are drug dealers and somebody lost. So he came through 3 times. And then the phone rang and says, I want to rent 8 trailers. And Becky said, we don't have any trailers. We got manufactured homes.
Right.
And said, you driving a black Mercedes? Yes, so come to the office. So he came and they give us a pitch. They wanted to do a reality show for Harvey Weinstein was the one behind it, the only show. And I said, well, I don't know nothing about it. I said, let me talk to the city, because you know how. So I went and talked to Ron Andrews of the city, which is a great guy, and told him what they wanted to do. But I said, now, I don't want to fight with y'all. If it's going to be something, I'll just stay away from it. So they made Patrick Mobile Home Park a film district, which means we can do anything in there we want to without permits or anything. But at the end of the show, we had to put it back, which was great. So we started filming that show. And
can I ask you a question? When somebody comes into your business and says, I want to do film a show here, I mean, did it just like blow your mind? Like, what in the world's going on?
My next question was, what you going to pay me?
What you going to pay me?
What you going to pay me? I'm all about the money.
We see what it's going to be.
What it's going to be. And so we ended up doing a contract. And, and then we got one of the dirtiest things happened. We had a guy working building a set, and he said, y'all got anybody doing your merchandise yet? I said, well, no. So this guy flew in from Dallas, Texas, and met with us in my dining room. And he says, I'm the 3rd largest producers of merchandise in the world. He says, when you go to a football game and you come out and you see the score on the T-shirts, he says, I own all the machines and every one of them. And he said, what I want to do is set y'all up in merchandise, and we get you a NASCAR-sized trailer. Says, I'll put up to $3 million in it, and you don't have to pay me for anything till you sell it. I said, ooh, that sounds good. And we sold T-shirts. Good gosh, we sold T-shirts. We had at one time 961 places selling our merchandise. Every Hallmark in the country was selling our merchandise.
Every what in the country?
Hallmark.
Hallmark,
yeah.
Wow.
And it just started. We'd sell 10,000, 15,000 T-shirts a week at the park.
Yeah, so tell me the name of the show, sir, listeners.
Welcome to Myrtle Manor.
Welcome to Myrtle. What year did it start?
It started in 8 years ago. 1920, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
and it ran for 3 years.
3 years.
On TLC, we premiered the #2 show of all time on TLC.
I got you.
And we were #1 in Australia,
wow,
Germany, England, Switzerland, Denmark. We kept a map of people coming. All states came, all Canadian provinces, 29 foreign countries. One that struck me, we had a lady there from Mongolia. And I asked her daughter, I said, how did she get here? She said, well, I married a GI and we live in Michigan, and I've been trying to get my mama to come to the States for years, and told she'd come, I'd take her 2 places. And she wants to see Niagara Falls and Welcome to Myrtle Manor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I said, how did you find that in my YouTube?
YouTube, wow.
We had a guy that actually flew his corporate jet from Seattle, Washington 4 times.
Are you serious? Wow.
It's unbelievable, the people we met and the things we done, and just, God, it was just.
Wow. So, with them filming on a set like this, and then, but people were coming and going to work, and.
No, well, see, what happens is, I wouldn't let them film on Sunday. The first thing says, we don't film, well, if we can't film on Sunday, we're not going to do it. I said, okay, we won't do it. So they came and said, okay, we won't film on Sunday.
Yeah.
But what people don't realize, in mobile home parks, people work in the daytime.
Right.
They're not there.
Right. They're going to work.
They're going to work.
Yeah.
So that wasn't no problem at all.
Yeah.
And we included some of them in the show, and then one of the kids have a birthday or something, they give them a gift card to go somewhere.
Wow.
And all kind. And they made it real nice.
Yeah. And your family and yourself were in the episodes at times.
Yeah,
what did you think about acting?
Well, they paid. But in the insurance business, I did all kind of commercial and everything, so I was used to it. It wasn't a big deal, But it was fun. Becky enjoyed it. I mean, she just really did, and so much. And when we set up the merchandise store, all the tips that came in, we give to backpack buddies that at Ocean View Baptist Church.
Still giving back.
Still giving back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's just one of those things, and it was just needed. I had somebody yesterday from Arizona come to see Myrtle Manor.
Really?
Yeah. It's just amazing. We had one guy from Connecticut. He was a pilot with United. Flew his daughter down there to get her hair done in the beauty shop.
Wow.
One of the funniest things about that, one day, this lady walked in. I was in there. She said, "How much y'all charge to do hair?" He says, "We started at $100. She says, "My God, I wouldn't pay." I said, "Look at your hair." She came back the next day and spent about $300 with it.
Oh, wow.
So there's stories. But one of the best stories was this lady came to the Marine. She had this thing on her arm. I'd never seen it before.
Yeah.
And I said, "Man, what is that?" She said, "Well, I've had breast cancer, and it's a compression bandage."
Right.
You know, and she says, I really heard. I said, "My wife makes pillows for people who's had breast cancer." And I said, "She's not here right now,
Yeah.
but if you'll give me your number,
Right.
you know, I have her call." So about that time, Barbara walks up, and she said, "I made one last night." God thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so she went and got it and fitted it on the lady, and they left. And the next morning, about 6 o'clock, this guy pulls up in my driveway, and it's that girl's husband. He got out the car with tears running down his face. He said, "Mister," he says, "I don't know why we come here yesterday, but my wife slept last night for the first time since her surgery." I said, "Well, in the South, we call that a God thing."
Amen.
He said, "What can I pay you?" I said, "Absolutely nothing."
Wow.
You know, so
Wow.
I mean, just story after story.
Yeah.
And you'd have these people come and says, "I came from the last time." I said, "What do you mean last time?" "I'm dying. I want to see before I die." And I said, "Really?" "Yeah." But I mean, it was an experience that can never be compared or replaced.
Yeah. So you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fun.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
I mean, the thing that was hard, they worked off California time,
Okay.
which means you start to work 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And see, they'll call you, and if they don't put a mic on you, you don't say a word, they don't pay you.
Okay.
You got to say one word before your time clock starts.
Right.
And when you say that one word, they got to pay you for 4 hours.
Okay.
And the pay is really good.
Yeah.
You know, but most of them spent it.
Yeah.
You know, they just blew it, just like they
Wow.
came in. It's just unreal. But the experience was, we had a lady, Miss Peggy. She had breast cancer, and she owed some medical bills, and they paid her medical bills.
Wow.
Yeah, and they did things that they didn't have to do.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, if you give people a chance, there are a lot of good people out here. You just got to give them a chance.
Yeah.
And that's what's wrong with the world today. Everybody wants what they want, don't care what you want.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, you know, everything we've touched is help people.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do. And that's
Yeah.
what we're going to continue to do as long as we can.
Well, I think that's a good place to end. We're out of time. Mr. Cecil, thank you for everything you've given to Autry County, Conway, Myrtle Beach, and thank you for all that you're doing for us. And I thank you, and I've enjoyed our conversation.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
Very much. Take
Thank
care.
you. Folks, I think the thing we can take away from today is give back. No matter what you do in life, you can't outgive God. Make sure you give back. Please join us next time.